And one last item for me. As we wrap up 2018, it's worth looking at the key events that you should be concerned about in the next 12 months. Now, the list we're about to go through is by no means comprehensive, but it does highlight the must focus on items in politics and policy as well. So let's start with elections. At least 15 countries on the continent will be holding either presidential or parliamentary elections in 2019, or both in some cases. But there are three that we are very keen on. The Democratic Republic of Congo, they're up first. These elections should have been held way back in 2016. But are we going to see a peaceful transition in a country that's home to 70% of the world's cobalt reserves? Now, remember, that's an element that's vital to the lithium-ion batteries have all become so dependent on, and everything from electric batteries to the cell phones that you're probably using or watching this on right now. So this poll matters in more ways than one. They're scheduled for the 30th of December, with results due a fortnight thereafter. Let's move on to West Africa. Nigeria is next. And this, in many ways, is basically voters expressing their judgment on Muhammadu Buhari's economic management in the last 4 years. On his watch, the country was in its first recession in 25 years, and growth has slowed down to a crawl. 2018's growth was forecast at 1.9%, and the forecast for 2019 from the IMF, just 2.3%. That's abysmal by Nigeria's historical growth. South Africa is also firmly on our radar. Cyril Ramaphosa has been in charge for most of 2018, and he has a ton of work to do, undoing the damage done by years of poor governance, corruption and crony capitalism. But in the time he's been in office, has he done enough to convince South Africans that they should side with the ANC in 2019? Even a GDP growth forecast at 1.4% next year and unemployment at over 27%. Equally important, how will the ANC deal with the land appropriation without compensation debate? That's going to be a very big one. We're also keeping a close eye, though, over in East Africa on Ethiopia. This might be this country's year. Since he became Prime Minister in April, Abiy Ahmed Ali has moved very rapidly to make key changes in the country. He's made peace with Eritrea. He's lifted a state of emergency. He's let dissidents come back home unmolested, and he's unblocked websites and TV channels that were previously banned. He's also indicated his intent to gradually open up Ethiopia's economy, and the biggest move there is selling minority stakes in state-owned firms like Ethio Telecom and Ethiopian Airlines. Will that happen in 2019? That's going to be an interesting one to watch. The final thing we're keeping a close eye on: trade. This covers multiple fronts, but let's focus on two. First off, the Continental Free Trade Area here in Africa. A deal to set this up, as you will recall, was signed by numerous countries in late March in Rwanda's capital, Kigali. If all states verify it and ratify this deal, it will be the biggest single free trade area by number of participating countries on the planet. As of this month, 15 countries had ratified this deal. Will we have the remaining 7 signatories in 2019 to have this deal come into force? Also, trade wars. You cannot ignore this. The China-US trade tiff may be taking place somewhere else out there, but this is still a key concern for policymakers right here in Africa. At the end of 2018, there's a notional truce in place with talks between the two sides set to take place in January. But will those talks lead to a gradual de-escalation, the maintenance of the status quo, or an escalation? That's a question we'll be keen to answer for you here in 2019.